Another fantastic game week and another green arrow sees us head to the 26k mark in the world, and in today's video we're going to be discussing my transfer targets ahead of double game week 25 and of course giving you all the information you need ahead of this big double game week. Now, before we dive into today's video, of course, if you do enjoy any of the content that you see on the channel, please be sure to like, comment and subscribe, as we are trying to hit 12,500 subscribers by the end of the season, and it is only possible with your guys' amazing support. As you can see, we're having a pretty decent game week so far. Of course, the big boys that have helped us out today, Munoz, Pickford have all delivered as well. Wood with his hat-trick, and of course we did have Trent Alexander-Arnold and Slot as our manager. The -4 that we did take last week hasn't had too much of an impact. It was a little bit of a disappointing performance from Visser and Mbeumo, but like I said, we're up to 26k right now in the world. We are on for a green arrow, which is very, very decent to see. Hopefully, you know, with the Chelsea game still to play, obviously this will come out after the Chelsea game, so hopefully Cole Palmer's done something decent, helped us out a little bit, but I don't think we gained too much in terms of rank from him. However, it's going to be that next Liverpool game as well. Hopefully Trent is going to be fit and available for that one. Hopefully Liverpool can get the win as well to, of course, cover off the Moyes ass man and obviously make it look like Slot was always going to be the correct pick and hopefully pick up some more points. And you never know where we could finish after that one as well. Maybe we could even break into the top 20k if it does go our way. Maybe Trent pops off. Maybe Liverpool get a very, very strong win against Everton. But still, we're in a pretty decent position going into that final game of game week 24 and of course heading in to game week 25. Let's take a look at how my team is looking, of course, before we make any transfers. So none of the double game weeks have been confirmed yet. We'll talk about those in a second. But of course, we would ideally like Liverpool to progress to the next round. It would save us a free transfer, of course, changing our manager from Slot. If Liverpool were to get the double, I would just leave it on him. It's a pretty decent double where I feel Liverpool would be the favourites going into both games as well and could very easily get something out of that. It does put us in a very advantageous position. It would also mean that Aston Villa double, and as you can see, we've already got double Villa with Konza and Rodgers as well, so putting us in an even stronger position heading into that double. So the ideal result for me and my team for the Carabao Cup, of course, is going to be Liverpool progressing. However, we do have contingency plans in place if that wasn't to be the plan. So let's take a look at then some of my transfer targets. Starting off first, I wanted to talk about the double game weeks itself, in case you've been potentially living under a rock. Which teams will be doubling and how will they be doubling? So if Liverpool overcome Spurs in the semi-final of the League Cup, then they will face off against Aston Villa in double game week 25, meaning they would have a double of Wolves and Aston Villa. A very, very nice double indeed. It would also mean Villa double, which they would face Ipswich and Liverpool, which is a fantastic double, mainly just down to that Ipswich fixture. If they get anything out of the Liverpool game, it is at home, but it is just that extra fixture, that extra potential to go and get something out of it. Even if it's just 2 extra points from my players just playing, that still is a bonus on top of that. And like you saw with my team there, Rodgers, Konza, obviously we're already triple stacked Liverpool. That would be the ideal result. However, if Spurs do manage to hold on to their 1-0 lead, then they will double with Fulham. So they would have Wolves, no they wouldn't. Sorry, they'd have Manchester United and Fulham, and then they would have Nottingham Forest and Tottenham would Fulham as well. So, of course, if Liverpool were to fall out of that, we would probably be looking at changing our assistant manager, and we probably would be looking to switch it on to Fulham with a potential table bonus against Nottingham Forest and Tottenham at home, who still, despite a positive result today, still definitely a team I think we should be looking to target over the next few weeks. However, there is still the chance that Arsenal could progress. Of course, they are 2-0 down, so it is the most unlikely out of all the results. However, there still is that probability that they could progress if they were to beat Newcastle. That would then mean that them and Chelsea would have a double, and of course we would have to look at plans to go and get some potential Arsenal players in, because Leicester and Chelsea as a double, definitely something I want to get myself involved with. Chelsea as well doubling could also open the door with Brighton and Arsenal. Not the ideal double game week ideally, but it's still a double game week and we still want to try and take full advantage of it. However, like I said, this is the least likely out of all of them. So far, I haven't put them into any of my kind of plans or spreadsheets so far. But of course, if that does change over the midweek period, we will start to look at Arsenal and Chelsea assets. Let's head on then. This week, I've done things a little bit different. Usually, I kind of just look at 1 or 2 players. This week, I'm just bringing out the big graph because there are so many players, of course, on my radar and probably on your radar as well. Of course, this is the updated model from the Transfer Target series. I've taken out Van de Ven because he didn't even feature today for Spurs, so that pretty much drops him as a defensive option. Of course, Liverpool, we pretty much know where we're going to be at. The only problem I would say is maybe if Trent isn't fit and available for the Game Week 24 game, Liverpool get that double, then he misses out on 25. We probably maybe need to look at a replacement for him, and I think Konate probably could be that one. Frees up some money. Pretty good, defensive days. There's no real reason to go for Van Dijk. We could also maybe have a bit of a switch around, maybe drop Isak to Gakpo, maybe drop Trent down to a cheaper defender. But I think if Trent is out, we probably just would move him to Konate. Still get that, into the best defence for Liverpool. I think that's probably going to be the play. Moving into Aston Villa, of course, we've got Konza and Rodgers already. So I don't think I would probably go double defence with Luca Digne. If I've got no Aston Villa defenders, I probably would back myself to potentially go and pick up Luca Digne. Anyway, for that extra 0.2 million, there is that, extra added incentive for goal involvement and better XGI per 90 as well. So that's probably the play to do if you've got no Villa defenders. Watkins is the really interesting one. Of course, he did go off at half-time, so we're still waiting to see any kind of further update on him and his potential situation right now. But as you can see, he's got the best expected goal involvement per 90. That fixture against Ipswich is the one that, of course, we would be looking to target. I don't mind Chelsea at home the week after or Palace in 27 as a pretty decent run. Of course, they have now sold John Duran, so he is the only forward available at the club right now, and it doesn't look like they're going to bring in any backup forwards. I know Marcus Rashford can play as the number 9, but I don't think he'll be competing with Ollie Watkins straight off the bat for me personally. He's also got the best predicted points on this list as well from the Fantasy Football Hub model, and again offers a decent potential alternative captain if we didn't want to go for Salah, but I think we probably will end up just going for Salah. In terms of the Fulham fixtures, I probably, if I was going to go for a defender here, I probably would maybe go for Anderson. I think Raul could be a decent option as well, but for me personally, if Fulham Spurs was the double, I'd be maybe looking more at Marco Silva rather than any of their players for me personally. But just wanted to put them on here just for you guys to potentially consider as well. And then finally, Spurs are the really interesting team for me because I think they could definitely beat Manchester United off the back of that really poor performance. Fulham, I think, would be a difficult game, but then you get the Ipswich away in 26. So that would be, I think, a real game changer if Spurs were to progress, picking up one of their assets, especially with Son, because he would be arguably one of the best captaincy options for 25 if Liverpool were no longer doubling. Obviously, we wouldn't have the Aston Villa double either. So I think Spurs and Son could be a potential avenue to maybe kind of keep open if they, manage to keep their lead as well. Like I said, offers decent captaincy potential, has a good fixture in 26 as well, so maybe one to see. And of course, when we move on to kind of the late stages of the video where we start looking at players we want to bring in and how we manage to do that, then I think he could be a really, really decent asset. The final thing I wanted to talk through is, of course, the predicted points from 11FI for the assistant manager chips from 24 to 26. Of course, we've had 24 already, so let's look at 25. Of course, Liverpool, ideally we would just keep slots if we wanted to go down that route. I just feel that's probably going to be the best way rather than wasting a transfer with my personal team. However, if Liverpool weren't to progress, we would be looking at Fulham, because they then have 14.2. It's just a real no-brainer compared to Spurs 9.5. They've also got the percentage chance of a table bonus as well if they were to beat Nottingham Forest at home, which is very, very likely. I don't see that result being like a complete, out of the water realms of possibility thing. So definitely could be one where we could get some potential table bonus from Marco Silva. Those were my initial transfer targets, and of course discussing the assistant manager chip. Now let's move on to how we're going to plot these players into my team and plan for the next few game weeks. So wasting no time, let's see how the team is potentially going to be lining up. This is option number 1. Ignore the little minus 1.2 at the top. Of course, for some reason, FPL.team doesn't know that I've already brought in Arnie Slot, so it's kind of counting him towards that. Don't worry about it. I do definitely have the budget to do this move. It would be bringing in Ollie Watkins for Alexander Isak. Like I said, he is currently a little bit of a doubt. However, the games aren't until the 14th of February. We're going to see FA Cup games as well. So if Watkins managed to make the bench, and of course that double game week does go ahead, I feel that is probably the best for me and my side. It would put us in a very, very advantageous position. We would have triple Liverpool. We would have triple Aston Villa as well, with Ipswich and Liverpool as their double. I feel it put us in a really, really good position. Of course, we would use our 1 free transfer, but I feel the team going forward the next few weeks as well on from that would also look in a pretty decent place. Of course, if we went to 26, we'd probably just line up pretty much like that. Then went on to 27. Obviously, that point slot would disappear from our side here because he's no longer active for that week. But as you can see, the team, again, still looking in pretty decent nick across the board. So I like that as the best option. Of course, that is dependent that Liverpool do go and win that game. And I do feel, like I said, that would be the most advantageous for me and my side. If we move on to option 2, of course, this would be the Spurs-Fulham route. We've dropped Isak down to Raul Jimenez. We'd have Marco Silva in here as well. The other thing that I was potentially thinking about is maybe trying to find some budget to go and get Son. Like I said, I do feel he potentially would be the best captain for that week. We would, of course, be already on a -4, bringing in Raul, bringing in Marco Silva as well. So I don't think, for me, if Spurs and Fulham were to double, it's not going to put us in a pretty decent position. I definitely need to come up with a more holistic plan to do it, because that -4 doesn't really feel ideal right now. We could obviously just leave Isak in there against Manchester City, and I probably would be tempted with that. But of course, double game weeks, I want to try and squeeze every last drop out of them. I think Silva would be decent though. We'd get the Tottenham game, we'd get the Nottingham Forest game as well, where we would potentially have the table bonus on the line as well. So yeah, it's not ideal. So this one probably, if Spurs win, doesn't feel great. And then the final option would be if Arsenal were to win. Obviously, we'd still maybe have the Liverpool potential double as well. And I feel like, you know, we could obviously bring in Arteta if Liverpool weren't to double, or we could keep ourselves with Slot, maybe downgrade Trent Alexander-Arnold to Gabriel. That's a potential option we could go for. Of course, as well, there would be the option, if I quickly just reset this team, activate the assistant manager chip and whack on... Where's he gone? Am I blind? Can I see him? Where's he gone? Can anybody see Slot for me? This is awkward, isn't it? Okay, I can't see Slot. There he is. There he is. I couldn't find him for a second, but there's Slot. Let's just say hypothetically as well. Let me just whack this on so we get to see the doubles. But Liverpool were still doubling. That would be great. So whack all these players back in, like you do. Who would he go in for? Hall there. Let's say Trent's fit and available. We wouldn't actually have -1.3, but we definitely probably would maybe look at getting Aina or Hall out and trying to get ourselves a Timber in here as well. That could be a potential option that we could go for. Of course, if they had the double, then probably start him over Munoz and have a double stack kind of here defensively. Put the wrong defender in there. So that potentially could be a little bit of an option to go for as well. So I like that, and I don't mind that. So if Arsenal were to win, that could potentially be pretty advantageous. Gives us another route to a double anyway. But as like I said, I think option 1 for us ideally is the best route to points. If we head back to game week 25 here, if Liverpool do progress, that is going to put us in the best position going forward for the next few weeks. So hopefully they do progress. If they don't, we will do an updated transfer targets video discussing what my plans are going to be kind of going longer term as well for me and my side. Of course, if you did enjoy today's video, please be sure to like, comment and subscribe. But thank you very much for watching today, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck in game week 25.